बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। रब्बी ज़िदनी इल्मा, ऐ मेरे रब मेरे इल्म में इजाफ़ा फरमा, आमीन। अस्सलाम वालेकुम क्लास, आई एम योर फिज़िक्स टीचर इरम। We are studying unit number 12, geometrical optics. Today our topics are applications of total internal reflection and diffraction through prism. After learning this topic, some student learning outcomes will be: you will be able to know the applications of total internal reflection. You can define optical fibers and their uses in medical and engineering fields, and you can draw the ray diagrams to show bending of light in totally internal reflecting prism, and you can also show refraction through prism by drawing a ray diagram. Let's recap some of the important points from our previous topics. The angle of incidence for which the angle of refraction becomes 90 degree is called critical angle. While discussing the total internal reflection, I have told you about the critical angle. You must remember that angle of incidence for which the angle of refraction becomes 90 degree was called critical angle, or you can also say it like this: the angle of incidence in the denser medium for which the refracted ray bends at 90 degree angle, that angle of incidence is called critical angle. When the angle of incidence becomes larger than critical angle, no refraction occurs. Entire light bends in the denser medium. This is called total internal reflection. As the angle of refraction depends upon angle of incidence, so by increasing the angle of incidence, the angle of refraction was also increasing. But when the incidence angle increased even more than the critical angle, there was no refraction and the entire light was bending into the denser medium. That phenomena was called total internal reflection. For total internal reflection, you must remember the two conditions. First was the incident light must be present in the denser medium and the angle of incidence, and the second was the angle of incidence must be greater than critical angle. The laws of reflection are obeyed in total internal reflection. All of these points we have discussed, all of these points in the previous topic. I think you remember them now. Now let's start our today's topic: applications of total internal reflection of light, that how this phenomena is useful in different optical instruments. Some optical instruments which work on this process are totally internal reflecting prism, which is further used in some instruments, that is cameras, binoculars, periscopes and telescopes, etc. Optical fibers use this phenomena. Light pipe and endoscope are some common examples of this total internal reflection of light. Now we will discuss them one by one. First is the totally internal reflecting prism. Before discussing the totally internal reflecting prism, we must know what is prism itself. A prism can be defined as: it is a transparent object with two triangular and three rectangular flat faces. It means the prism is a transparent object which will allow the light to pass through it, and it is composed of two triangular and three rectangular flat faces. Means the prism cannot be curved, all of its faces must be flat. So here is the common prism we use in our laboratories. You can see that it is a three-dimensional object. So this is a prism. Totally internal reflecting prism is a right angled prism. It means one of the angle between its two reflecting surfaces is 90 degrees, like this. You can see that here is a right angle here. That is why it is called a right angled prism. Okay, that is a right angled prism. Now let's discuss the totally internal reflecting prism in detail. Here is a totally internal reflecting prism. You can see that the incident light ray strikes the surface at 90 degrees. Here you can see that between these two surfaces the angle is 90 degrees. So this is a totally internal reflecting prism, and the light ray, the incident light ray which is traveling from air, and as it is made up of glass or plastic, the prism is made up of glass mostly, so this is a denser medium here. So the light is traveling from air and passing into the glass at what angle? Here is an angle of 90 degree, and we have discussed this case earlier, that if a light ray strikes any surface normally or perpendicularly, it will pass through it by following the same path, means it will not bend. So this is an angle of 90 degree. Here the angle of incidence is 90 degrees, so it will pass inside the glass by same angle, that is also 90 degree. Now what is happening then? This light ray, after entering in the glass, it will strike the inclined surface of the mirror. Here it is, the inclined surface. How it will strike this face? It is, if we draw a normal here, we can find this angle, that is angle of incidence. It will be 45 degrees. It will be measured as 45 degrees. This light ray strikes the next surface at 45 degrees, and keep in mind that critical angle of glass is 42 degrees. So what you can conclude from this information, that the light ray is incident on the boundary of denser medium, on the boundary of denser and rare medium at an angle of incidence which is greater than, here the angle of incidence is greater than critical angle. So what will happen here? You can see the light ray is bent inside the denser medium. No refraction is occurring here. It means the light ray will not emerge out of the prism. It will totally reflect inside the denser medium. So angle of incidence, so it must obey the laws of reflection. If angle of incidence is 45 degrees here, the angle of reflection will also be 45 degrees. It means the light is bending while after entering in the totally internal reflecting prism by 90 degrees in this case. Now what is happening again when this light ray, after striking the inclined surface, it is again incident on the perpendicular surface, on the straight face of the prism. Here it is striking now with an angle of 90 degrees, so it will pass out, it will emerge out from the glass into the air with an angle of 90 degree again, as same in the case we have discussed earlier. So here we can see that both conditions of total internal reflection are observed here. It means this is how the totally internal reflecting prism works on the phenomena of total internal reflection. Now let's see what will happen. Let's discuss some orientations of totally internal reflecting prism, that how we can make the incident light to strike on any face of the reflecting prism, so that it can make an image, and how that image will be different from the object. Let's discuss the first case. As we have seen just now, we have the incident light rays are incident the light rays are incident on this face. Let's see, it is P, Q, R. So it is incident on the face PQ of the prism. Let's take the object as an arrow. In this chapter we are treating this arrow as an object so that we can easily know the upper part and lower part of this object, so that when the image is formed we can easily see what the changes are in that image according to the object, according to its orientation, its shape or size. Now A represents the upper portion of object A and B represents the lower portion of object B. Now whole of this object is the light rays are emerging from all over this object, but we will take only two light rays from upper part and one from the lower part of the object. Now what is happening here? The light ray incident from point A is striking the surface at 90-degree angle, so it will pass into the prism without bending. Again the light ray with B from B is also incident on this face by making an angle of 90 degrees, so it will also pass unbent. Now both of these light rays are striking this inclined face of the prism. So what will happen here? By drawing the normal we can see that this angle is 45 degrees. Now this 45 degrees is greater than the critical angle of glass, that is 42 degrees, so it will bend totally inside the prism like this, you can see here, and this the angle of reflection will be 90 degree again. Same is the case with the second light ray, which is passing unbent from the first face and striking the second inclined face. It will bend through an angle of 90 degree, in which first is the angle of incidence of 45 degrees and angle of reflection is also 45 degrees. Both of these rays after undergoing total internal reflection strike the face of this second medium normally, so that they will pass unbent from the surface because they are incident on that surface normally. Here you can see the light rays are striking the surface at an angle of 90 degrees, so that they will pass unbent. Now this is how the image is formed. Here you can see that the shape or orientation of object is like this and the image is formed like this. So what you can conclude from this, that there is an angle of 90 degrees. There is a difference of 90 degree angle between object and its image. So by using this orientation of totally internal reflecting prism, the image will be formed at an angle of 90 degrees from the object. Let's discuss the second case. Here you can see another orientation of this totally internal reflecting prism. The two inclined surfaces are present here and the light rays are striking the base of this prism. Here we have taken the tree as an object, so you can also take the arrow here. One light ray is incident from its upper part and other light ray is incident from its lower part. They are striking the surface of this prism at an angle of 90 degree. They will pass unbent, and when they strike the inclined surface, what will happen? There will be total internal reflection there. Here is the case of total internal reflection. This ray when strikes the inclined surface, there will be a total internal reflection here, because here the angle of incidence is 45 degrees, which is greater than critical angle, that is 42 degrees. So it will bend through 90 degrees in first case. in first total internal reflection. Now you can see both of these rays are inclined or are incident on the second inclined surface. Again they are striking this surface with an angle of incidence that is 45 degrees here. So angle of incidence is 45 degrees. Again it is greater than critical angle of the glass, that is 42 degrees. So what will happen? Again it will be totally internally reflected back. So here is the case with both of these light rays. Again they are striking the surface with 90-degree angle, so they will pass unbent. They are passing in the air now and they are following the same path. As they are striking at 90-degree angle, they will reflect in the air through 90-degree angle. But now you can see the image of this tree is upside down. The orientation of object is like this and the image is like this. So what is the difference of angle between these two objects? You can easily see they are anti-parallel to each other like this. So it is an angle of 180 degrees here. It means when we use this orientation of totally internal reflecting prism in any optical instrument, the difference between the angle, the angle of object and image will be 180 degrees. The image will be flipped to an angle of 180 degrees to that of the object. Both of these orientations are used in different optical instruments. Let's see in which optical instrument these two orientations are used. Binoculars. Here you can see a binocular with two totally internal reflecting prisms. Here you can see that the light ray coming from the object, let's suppose the object is placed here. So what will happen? The light ray coming from this object, when strikes the refracting prism, it will get internally reflected. Again it strikes the second surface and it will reflect. It will get total internal reflection again and then emerge out from the prism, the glass, like this in the straight path. So here is a shift of an angle of 180 degree from first prism, and again when it entered in the second prism, and it will get total internal reflection 2 times. Again there will be a shift of 180 degrees and the light will pass out from the mirror. Now two lenses are present here. One is the objective lens and second is the eyepiece. By using all of this setup, the object will be seen as can be seen by the naked eye, but it will be seen at lesser distance from the eye as seen from the naked eyes. So this is how the totally internal reflecting prism is used in binoculars. Let's discuss the periscope. You can see a different orientation of this totally internal reflecting prism inside the periscope. Here you can see the first case, that the prism is, the light ray are incident on the straight face, they will pass unbent. The light gets total internal reflection from one prism, it will get an angle shift of 90 degree. Again when it strikes the second prism, as we have discussed earlier, it will also get an angle shift of 90 degrees. So by using, here again there is two lenses present at the openings of these openings of the periscope. So by using all this setup, you can see the objects at different height from your eye level. This is the eye level, and this is the object is present at this height from the from your eye level, but you can see it easily because the light ray is made to bend by using two such totally reflecting prisms. So that is how the totally internal reflecting prism is used in different optical instruments. Second application of the total internal reflecting prisms are the optical fibers. They are very important nowadays. What is the construction of optical fibers? Fiber optics consist of hair-sized threads of glass or plastic through which light can travel. They are so much thinner as compared to hair size that it is made up of just like threads of glass or plastic through which light can travel. The inner part is called core, which carries light. It has high refractive index. The outer part is made up of glass or plastic called cladding. It has low refractive index. Here is an optical fiber. You can see the different parts. The inner part is called core, which carries the light. It is made up of a material with high refractive index. The outer part of core is called cladding, which is made up of low refractive index. Here you can see that just like the case of total internal reflection, two mediums were there and the light was traveling from denser to rare medium. Here you can see that light will travel from core and strike the surface of cladding, so that we can say that here the light is present inside the core. The light is made to strike the core at such an angle that its angle of incidence becomes greater than the critical angle of core, so that when it strikes the core cladding boundary, it will get total internal reflection there. That's why two materials of different refractive indices are used here, so that the light is made to travel throughout the thread and by getting total internal reflection again and again. Here you can see the internal view of an optical fiber. This boundary, this is the cladding, which has low refractive index, and this is the core, which has high refractive index. This is the normal axis through which we have to make the light incident in the core. Here you can see the angle of incidence, and this angle of incidence is made, the light is made to strike this core at an angle of incidence greater than the critical angle of core, so that the light is made to travel in the core. Then this light will, when strikes the core cladding boundary, here is the angle of incidence that must be greater than critical angle. This is not that angle of incidence which must be greater than critical angle, because refraction is taking place here. What is happening here? It is made to travel from air inside the core, so that refraction is occurring there. This is the angle of incidence, and when the light ray enters inside the core, it will bend its path and move towards the normal. Then this light ray is made, when it strikes this boundary, core cladding boundary, this angle of incidence must be greater than the critical angle of core, so that it gets total internal reflection here and bends inside the core again. When it strikes this core cladding boundary, this angle of incidence must be greater than critical angle, so that it gets total internal reflection again and again throughout the thread of optical fiber. Working and use of optical fibers. As we have discussed, optical fibers follow total internal reflection. Light ray is made incident in the core at an angle of incidence greater than critical angle. Light will be internally reflected several times inside the long strand with very low energy losses. Yes, the light ray is not lost here, so they are very useful means of telecommunication. They are mostly used in telecommunication fields. Here is another view of optical fibers. You can see the core cladding boundary. Whenever the light is made incident inside the core, it will strike the core cladding boundary at an angle of incidence greater than critical angle, so that it gets total internal reflection. Again, here you can see the light rays incident inside the core. First one is the case of perpendicular light ray. Second is a refraction is here, because here the angle of incidence is less than critical angle. Here is the case of critical angle, when the refracted ray bends to 90 degrees. This determines the critical angle of that core, and whenever the light ray is made to incident on this boundary at an angle of incidence greater than critical angle, the light will totally reflect back inside the core. Here you can say that total internal reflection is taking place. That were the optical fibers. Light pipe. Light pipe is actually a bundle of thousands of optical fibers bounded together. A number of optical fibers are bounded together for different purposes. They are used to illuminate inaccessible places by doctors or engineers. The inaccessible organs means the organs which are accessed through operation or surgeries. This light pipe is helpful to access that organs without surgeries by doctors or engineers, used to check the defaults in complex machines where the inner parts of the machines are not accessed easily. These light pipes are used to get their images. They are also used to transmit images from one place to another, just like the picture shown. They are a set of lens, and the light pipe are used to transmit images from one place to another. Endoscope is the next application of optical fibers. Endoscope is a medical instrument used for exploratory diagnostics and surgical purposes. It is used to explore interior organs of the body. Flexible endoscopes have a tiny camera attached to the end. This term endoscope is familiar to many of you, as it is very common nowadays. Due to its small size, it is inserted through mouth. The light shines on the organ of patient to be examined by entering through one of the fiber tubes of endoscope. The light is then transmitted back to physician's viewing lens through other fiber tube by total internal reflection. Means one tube consists of two fibers, from which one tube carries the incident light, which when strikes the organ, it gets its image and reflects back, and the physician can view its reflected light from the organ by the other tube through total internal reflection. Doctor can see the view recorded by camera on a computer screen. It is attached to the computer screen so that doctors can view it easily. Doctors can examine that organ easily. What is endoscopy? A medical procedure using any type of endoscope is called endoscopy. Stomach endoscopy is called gastroscope. Bladder endoscopy is called cystoscope, and the throat endoscopy is called bronchoscope. Here you can see an endoscope is inserted through mouth. It is a long tube with a tiny camera attached to it, so that it can illuminate the organ without surgery, and this endoscope is then attached to the computer, from which the doctors can easily see the image of that organ which is to be examined. That were the applications of total internal reflection. Now let's see how the light gets refracted through prism. Here a prism is shown. As the prism is made up of glass, so we will treat it as a denser medium, and the incident ray is present in air. Here are two different mediums, so that we can see how the light enters inside the prism and gets refracted. You can see the incident beam. It is incident on the face AB of the prism at some angle. Now it is not striking this surface perpendicularly. Here you can see angle I. This is the normal here, represented by N and dash, and this is the angle of incidence. So now the incident beam is traveling from air and passing inside the glass, inside the denser medium. So what should happen here? Will the light ray bend towards the normal or away from the normal? Yes, as it is entering from rare to denser medium, the light ray will bend towards the normal. Here you can see this is the refracted ray. This was the actual path that the light ray should follow, but it is not following it. Why? Because refraction is here. The light ray is incident from rare to denser medium. What is happening here? The light ray is bending towards the normal, and here is the angle of refraction. It will be less than the angle of incidence. Now it will strike the next face AC of the prism. Again, now let's treat it as incident ray. So what is the angle here? Here is the normal, and this light ray is making this angle with the normal. And what will happen when the light ray is incident in the denser medium and passes to the rare medium? What will happen? This was actually the path of the that must be the path, that should be the path of the emergent ray, but what is happening here? It is bending away from the normal. So we can say that here is the angle of refraction, which is greater than the angle of incidence in this case. So here you have seen an incident beam, a refracted beam, and the emergent beam, and this is the path of a refracted ray from the prism. When the light ray strikes the face AB of the prism at an angle other than 90 degrees, it will bend towards the normal inside the prism, and when it emerges out from the prism, it will bend away from the normal. And here you can see a thing. When you this is the emergent ray, and when you extend it backwards and you extend the incident ray backwards, at this point an angle is here. This is called the angle of deviation. It shows how much the incident beam is deviated from its original path while entering and originating from the prism. We can define the angle of deviation as the angle between direction of incident ray when it enters from one medium to another is called refraction through angle of deviation, that how much the incident ray is deviated from its original path. So that was the refraction through prism. That was all about our today's topic. This is your homework now. After watching the video and reading the topic from book, answer the following questions. Number 1 is how totally internal reflecting prism bends the light through 90 degrees. We have discussed two cases in which the totally internal reflecting prism can bend the light through 90 degree or 180 degree. You have to tell the case of 90 degrees bending through 90 degrees. Second question is how light is propagated through the optical fibers. You have to explain how the light gets total internal reflection inside the optical fibers again and again. You have to practice these figures on your sheets. Keep it in mind that you have to send the answers of now on to from now onwards. You have to just send the answers of given questions through text messages. You have to type your answer and send them. You have to answer question number 1 and 2 through text message, and so that I can mark your attendance. And you have to just practice these figures on your sheets and don't send these pictures in the group. Keep them safe and tidy with you. I will check them when the classes resume, inshallah. You have to keep them tidy and safe, and don't send them in the group. In case of any problem, you can ask anything anytime. Thank you.